Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're actually going to be looking primarily at the 20-day moving average. So if you guys like the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. We also do have the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below if you would like a community that you can bounce ideas off of and just have a place that you can go and talk about different ideas related to crypto. So one of the things I recently got a question about this was about the 20-day, and we covered it, in the last two Bitcoin videos. I did touch on it, right? And the question, right, is, how significant is the 20-day moving average? Because I have spoken about it. The short answer is that it's not very significant, right? The short answer is that it's not very significant at all. If you look at the 20-day, you can see that there's plenty of times where we really just kind of pass through it like it was nothing. And then other times we do seem to respect it a little bit on, say, resistance points and then maybe support levels when we're very bullish. So the way I would describe the 20-day moving average in a short and sweet kind of a way would be to say that when Bitcoin is very bullish, right, when it's moving up very systematically, having these short, 5 or 10% corrections, the 20-day can actually act as a region of support. And if it does, then we typically get bounces off of it, more or less, that continue on up higher than where we previously were. Now, you can also see when we don't hold it, we tend to move sideways. So it doesn't mean that the party's over, right? It doesn't mean anything like that. If we don't hold it, you can see that we then tend to move sideways. And holding it, by the way, I guess I shouldn't say it always leads to a higher local high, but we tend to just bounce off of it, right? If we kind of come down to it, we will a lot of times see a short-term bounce off of it. But breaking it is not all doom and gloom, right? It just means maybe we're going to move sideways for a while. Now, if we zoom in and we look at a lot of different scenarios, you can see that it was more or less held here. Again, it's not a perfect science. And then we immediately bounced off of it. Here, it was broken. We moved sideways for a while, and then we went up. And you can see we moved sideways for about a week or so. If you look at this point up here, we held it as support, saw immediate bounce up, came back down, held it as support, saw an immediate bounce up. We broke it. Not all doom and gloom. We just moved sideways for a long time. And then we ended up going down a bit more. So the general answer to it, right, is if we don't hold it, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin's about to crash, right? It does not mean that Bitcoin's about to go back down to 7K or anything like that. It could just be that we just move sideways for a while, right? That's a really good option, that we just move sideways for a while. But alternatively, if you do see us hold it as support, like we did back here in January and then sort of did in February, we kind of bounced off of it a couple times here. Again, it's not a perfect science by any means. But when we kind of like hold that level, I would say when we hold that level in that region, a lot of times we'll bounce back up quicker. And then not holding it is, again, not really all doom and gloom. So what I would anticipate, and again, you guys know that I more or less think this is a random walk more than anything. Not something that I can predict, because I feel like there's a really good chance we just come below it, and then there's a really good chance we just bounce off of it. So if you see, what I would be looking out for, right, is if you see Bitcoin holding this level, the 20-day moving average is currently at around 11,693 on this chart. On this one, it's just based on when it closes, but on this one it's 11,701. So it's approximately at around 11,700. If you see Bitcoin hold 11.7 for, a bit longer, right? If you see it continue to hold 11.7, then what I would expect, right? And I don't trade off this, I really don't. What I would expect is to see it bounce back up. This is what I would expect. So I'll be looking out to see, okay, is 11.68, 11.7, is it going to hold? If it does, maybe we see a bounce up. If it doesn't, then we're probably going to end up moving sideways. At the very least, potentially moving down, right? But at least moving sideways for a few days, a week, a couple weeks. I mean, you can see when we broke it over here, we moved sideways for approximately 2 months or so. And you can see that the time before it, once we held it as support for a couple days, we ended up bouncing back up. And here, we those wicks, if you zoom in, you can see those wicks came down to it, and then at 11.3, and then we ended up bouncing back up all the way to 12.5 or so. Now we've come back down to it, okay? So again, what I'm looking for, if we hold it, if you see 11.7, plus or minus maybe 30 or 40 bucks. I mean, what's a few bucks among friends, guys? If you see that happen, then I would expect a move back up in the short term. And if we break it, then it's really anyone's guess, right? We just either move sideways for a while, or we retrace. And then what's more important, right, is looking at the weekly moving averages. I mean, this is more important by a long shot, in my opinion, than the daily moving averages. If we go below the 20-day, right, and you see us go to 11.6, and then we go to 11.5, 11.4, there's still a good chance we just bounce back up from there. But if the trend continues, like if the downtrend continues, which I'm not super on board with the idea of us immediately retracing. Of course, it's always a possibility. But if we immediately retrace, then the main point to look out for, right, as we've said many, many times, is the 20-week moving average, right? Now, there's going to be some stops along the way if we make it down to that level. I think that 10.5 is a pretty good level that we might go to at some point and test that as support. There is a CME gap that some people think we need to fill. I'm not one of them, but there is a CME gap that some people think we need to fill at around 9,600 or so, which coincidentally is just north of the 20-week moving average. So if Bitcoin were to drop down to 10.5 and we put up a fight and then it drops below that, right, the party still could be going on. It could just be a temporary setback. We've seen 20 to 30%, 40% retracements to the 20-week moving averages in past market cycles, right? We know that is the name of the game. And in fact, what would be concerning in a bull market is if you don't ever see, let me get a measured move here. What would be more concerning would be if you don't ever see these retracements back to the 20-week. And the reason is because, I feel like the higher it goes above the 20-week moving average, like if you see this breakout top, which significantly overshadows the rest, then I feel like there's a much less chance of us holding the 20-week moving average as support. It's kind of good to have a systematic retest of it during the market cycle. And you can see back over here in 2019, we moved above the 20-week and really didn't retest it for half a year. And we ended up breaking it. So what I'm looking for, essentially, right, is we know we're going to test the 20-week at some point, right? It's just a matter of when it happens. And the key thing to remember is that if we break the 20-week moving average, right, if we break it and go down, then I would personally be looking to get out of a lot of altcoin positions, right? Because not all of them, but most of them. So when it breaks, coins like Ethereum, which I don't really consider an altcoin, Cardano, whatever it is, maybe Monero, if you're holding a lot of other coins, I know a lot of you guys hold Litecoin, XRP. These coins will almost assuredly, I can't say for sure, but very likely, they will bleed harder than Bitcoin if Bitcoin falls below the 20-week moving average, which currently is at around 94.31, according to this one, according to the BLX. Or sorry, this isn't the BLX, this is Bitstamp. If you go to the BLX and we look at the 20-week, it's currently at around 94.41. So look at around 94 to 9,500. If we head that direction, if we hold it as support, then great, right? We fill the CME gap that some people think we need to fill. We hold it as support, just like we did during the last cycle, and then we continue on up our merry way as we crank higher. Now, but the thing is, right, is we may not test it anytime soon. I mean, it could be 5 months before we test the 20-week. We don't know, right? We don't know where it's going to happen. But again, if you wanted like a short-term indicator, which I really don't think is super valuable, but hindsight kind of elucidates it a little bit, right? If you see it hold it, you can say, oh well, it made sense that it moved up. If it immediately breaks it, then I would expect it to at the very least move sideways, not go below it and then a day later shoot back above it. So that's what I'm looking for, kind of like a support region here, maybe a support region here. We'll see if it does. If you see us holding this level for a couple of days, maybe I move back up over 12K, and then we'll continue on. We'll see how high Bitcoin can go if that happens, if it can go to 13K or not. So let me know what you guys think. A bit of a ramble, I know. I just want to kind of elucidate some of my thoughts on the market. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. At the very least, subscribe to the channel. We do have a Telegram channel. If you want access to the premium content, be sure to check out intothe-cryptoverse.com. We have a great community, a great premium community, lots of people on it. So I would encourage you to at least check it out. You can check it out for a month. If it's not your thing, you can cancel. But the nice thing is if you get in August or, sometime either this month or next month, probably next month, I'll be raising the prices. So if you want to get in early, you can get grandfathered in at the lower price if you prefer or if you want. And you can also get a discount by paying for 6 or 12 months with crypto, up to 15% for paying for 12 months. So let me know what you guys think. Would love to get feedback on the thoughts of the video. For the premium list, you get access to a whole lot of stuff, including a private Telegram chat room if you're looking for kind of like a place to retreat to and have some higher level discussions, an alerts channel, a weekly video, a weekly report, a dashboard for risk metrics, and a dashboard for strategies in terms of DCAing out of the market. So check it out. It's been pretty useful so far. The idea is to systematically move into a market when it's the time to move in, and to systematically take profits when it's the time for the smart money to get out. So check it out, intothe-cryptoverse.com. You can also sign up for it on patreon.com/intothe-cryptoverse. You can find these links in the description below. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you next time.